us. And I think a guy named Pete Yates, maybe before him, got to be pretty good. It was like our first legit guy, got to the semis, 2-time All-American. We had nothing before that. I mean, so Makai definitely took us to another level when he came in, and he won as a freshman. And I think he obviously took the world by storm that year, had a great season, great tournament. And I think what it does is it gets people to believe that are in your program at that time that they can win too. And it also makes it a little easier when you're sitting in somebody's house that wants to be an NCAA champ. And those are the kind of kids we're recruiting, and we were recruiting, and we continue to recruit. You're not selling so much a dream, right? You have something tangible to get behind it and say, hey, listen, this guy, our staff's been in place for this long, and we had Makai win. Jared Hott was in the finals. Makai was in the finals again. Caleb Henson won. So that's in a pretty short period of time.
It's in a really short period of time. And it doesn't seem to be stopping because your recruiting class is pretty solid too. But talk a little bit about Caleb Henson, if you can. He seems like a very special kid, and a different, that's the other thing to me. It's interesting because Makai is very reserved, right? And then you get kids like Henson and Andonian, not so much, right? And they're a little bit more outspoken. They're a little bit more boisterous on the mat. Is it difficult dealing with those kind of different personalities in the room?
I don't think so. It hasn't been for us. I mean, all the guys that you mentioned are great kids and great people. And I think, wrestling, it definitely has an individual element to it as a sport. You have to embrace that as a coach, and you have to understand that not everybody's going to be the same, and we can't treat everybody the same all the time. So, your athletes understand that too. And, we're always going to do what we feel like is best for each guy individually to try to get them ready for the end of the season. And I think we've done pretty well at that. But, as far as Caleb is concerned, I think the best thing about him is he obviously wants to win really bad, but that's not the most important thing to him. If he would have lost that match, he would have reacted the same way. Nothing would have changed from the end of that tournament until today, in my opinion. I mean, he has a great perspective on wrestling and on life. And he just, he's going to do everything to the best of his ability, and he's going to attack everything that he does the same way. And, I think that's what makes him special, and that's what makes him great. It's not about winning and losing. And sure, he wants to win a national title just like everybody else does, but he hasn't changed one bit, from the outcome of that tournament or that match. And he understands this thing's a journey, and it's not going to get easier. And we got to continue to put in work, and we got to continue to improve, and we got to continue to get better. And that's what he does. He's looking at every aspect, I think, of his life and what he can do better and different and to try to improve.
Okay. So that's really, first of all, I don't know that was typical when guys our age were growing up. Either wrestling was you as a personality, or it wasn't. And more times than not, the guys that won national titles, it was their sole personality trait. So how do you recruit that? How do you find that? How do you identify that in a kid who's a high school wrestler that is winning state titles and wants to go to Blacksburg, but it's not the only thing in their life? It's hard to identify in a kid, no?
I think recruiting is a little bit of a crapshoot. I mean, you don't necessarily know what you're getting until you're living with them and you have them. And I think one of the things that helps is you have to look at the trajectory of the kid and kind of, the direction that he's going. Because there's a lot of kids that are great when they're in middle school, and mostly because they're probably training at a level that's not reasonable. And they're competing at a level that's not reasonable. And that eventually becomes more of a hindrance than it does a help. And I think when you look at the trajectory of some kids, and if they're starting to plateau and maybe even going like this when they get to college, man, their confidence goes in it. They're never the same. And when you have a kid that's going like this and they go to college and they, maybe they plateau a little bit, but they keep getting better and better and better. That's when you have somebody that's, has a chance to continue to grow and get better. And they understand that they have miles left in the tank. They have really good perspective on it.